Hi everyone, welcome again to this channel. I'm Dr. Richards with you, and today I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the middle child syndrome. And yes, actually when I was growing up, I fell in the category of the middle child. I didn't know it was such a thing, but I can recall, like, first of all, you had the first child, firstborn, and usually in a family when you have a firstborn, they're treated with all care. The parents are excited, about their first child, so they get a lot of attention. And then you have a second born child, some attention there, but maybe not as much. And then you had maybe the third born child. In some homes could be the final child in the home, so that's the baby of the family. So then there again, lots of attention, lots of care, favoritism right there for the baby of the family. So what happens with that is that the child in the middle, they are like caught in between. They don't get all of that kind of attention from parents. It can actually cause an impact growing up. I can remember just kind of being a little bit on the jealous side, to be honest, like seeing all of the firstborn children. They seem to be like so special, they're outstanding. And then for me, I had a secondborn, and then I was kind of the third person, another child, and then the baby. So I was literally in the middle. So there's the middle child syndrome, that people are just kind of caught up in the middle. You're kind of like a misfit in a sense, and you're trying to figure out, like, where do I actually fit in my family? And so that was something that translated into my my everyday life in school. And I can just relate to other kids and other people and adults who said that as a middle child, they felt like always trying to fit in and trying to get that kind of a attention, not only from parents, but when they entered their school world, or their college world, or even just their everyday life, they felt that they need to get that kind of attention and all of that stuff. So that was something easily that I can relate to. And I know that many persons out there, they might have been experiencing things like these. I know a lot of persons out there, they would have experienced being the middle child and just trying to fit in. So I would say to parents, just being mindful too, like some of the things that can happen when you're in that kind of a zone as a middle child. So it's a thing, it's a real thing. So I would encourage you to be mindful of the middle child. They're almost feeling non-existent. They're not feeling as important as the other kids in the home. So it's important that we work on giving them a little bit of care, extra care, as middle children. And there's something else that I wanted to point out too, as the middle child too. It's not all negative, as a middle child, because you're always almost caught in the middle. Sometimes you tend to be the peacemaker. You tend to be that one who hears things on both sides, and you're being the confidential ear of the family. And I remember that, being the confidential ear of siblings. And even in adulthood, it kind of remained that's the same, where you're hearing, you're being that person who listens, and you're tuned in, you're kind of being that non-judgmental person. So it's something that we can be aware of. Self-awareness, as I mentioned earlier, this was something that I never knew was a thing until I got older. And as I got into the field of psychology, I learned a lot about this kind of a syndrome, birth order, the impact of birth order. And you could read a little bit more on it. Alfred Adler did some research on birth order, and there's still ongoing research on it. So it's still a lot more work to be done, but it's interesting just to read about some of the things that relates to birth order and how it impacts our personality as well. So I hope that I did say something to you that was helpful. If you're a middle child, you are just as important as the firstborn or other persons in the birth order of that family. Don't feel like a misfit. Be self-aware of how you can be placed. Sometimes it's not something that parents are necessarily doing, but it's just a matter of the order that you're actually placed in. So encouraging also parents just to be aware as well of how this can impact their children. So I hope that you were able to gain something from today's message, and please remember to hit that like button, subscribe if you have not subscribed, and you could visit some of the videos that we did in the past, and please go ahead and watch. All right, see you again next time.